What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel of the video. This morning I got up, it's a beautiful sunrise, had my coffee, mixed some paints up, came in here, and I was inspired to paint hot and cold colors. So that's what we're gonna do today. I haven't done an open cup in quite a long time, but we're gonna do that right now. All right, so the colors we're using today is this phthalo blue. We're using a blue turquoise. We're using a light blue permanent. We're using this kind of violet color here, a deep red or crimson, and a lemon yellow. We're gonna have a little bit white. Every one of these colors has 1 to 2 drops of my coconut oil hair serum. And with that, we are gonna do an open cup because I haven't done one of these in a hot minute. I've been kind of obsessing over these geode pours recently, just because they're new and I've never done them before. So they're exciting because it's a learning process. So this is the open cup we're gonna use. I cleaned it out as best I could. But with that, how's everybody doing this glorious day? It is a beautiful day in Detroit today. Not a cloud in the sky. And today, I get to go to Tampa for 4 days. Gonna have an amazing time. And I'm super excited about that. So there's no silicone in this base coat. I'm gonna also try to maintain some negative space in this one, because on one of my last open cups, you guys gave me some really helpful information and you said that it probably would have been better if I left some open space, like some negative space. And I actually agree with you on that one, because after replaying it and looking at what it used to look like to what it ended up looking like, y'all were absolutely right. All right, so we're gonna add a little bit of white between the yellow and the red, just a little bit, not a whole lot. I do wanna have some color separation there. I know when it turns under the cup, it's still gonna create whatever it's gonna create. We may get some oranges, and I'm totally okay with that. We are on board with that, y'all. I do know I want to keep it separated from the blue, because I'm not looking for a bunch of greens. I'm trying to maintain a good dark to light kind of theme here. Or not dark to light, hot to cold. Y'all know what I mean. But yeah, I'm super excited to kind of get out of Detroit for a little while, go back to Florida for a few days. It's gonna be amazing. So we're not seeing a whole lot of stuff going on yet. We did that dark blue. I really love the way it looks when I have the small amount of white between the blues, because it actually lightens them all up. Helps them stand out from the background quite a bit. We'll add a little bit of this turquoise. It's a beautiful color. I got this light blue permanent. Oh, almost forgot. White. Add some white. All right. Not a whole lot of white. I'm not looking for it to take over. I mean, we do already have a white background. So I'm making the bands of color fairly large. And that's because I do want to do just a few of these and be able to spin it to keep some of this negative space. So that's the whole idea there. I'm gonna use this torch heat gun a little bit. I'll see if there's anything under there. As soon as I hit it, we got one beautiful little cell right there. I wonder if we can find any more. Oh, now they're all starting to crop up. Okay. Yeah, that's some beautiful colors in that deep magenta color. I like that. I like that a whole lot. Let's see what we got going on here. Ooh, we got some new ones with the yellow in there. That's awesome. I love that. All right, so we just did the light blue. So now we should be moving on to the darker colors. All right, a little tiny bit of white. Yes, sir. Look at those cells just continuing to grow, and that's that coconut oil hair serum. And the heat just heats up the silicone just enough to where it starts to push itself through all the surfaces, all the different layers of paint that we're creating as we continue to layer these cups on top of each other, or the colors. And it's just pushing through all those and creating these really bubbly cells. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. Hopefully we don't get any pinks with this choice here. I'm hoping we don't. You never know. Alright. We can just let the colors flow. We have some really wicked looking cells starting to open up. Kind of that combination of the yellow and blue, and it's gorgeous. I love it. All right, so where are we at? I'm so busy like looking at what is going on here. A little white. I'm liking the way the white is kind of changing it up a little bit. Dark blue. Another little small layer of the white. Moving into this kind of a turquoise. And as you can see, I'm just layering the colors from the darkest shade to the lightest shade with a layer of white in between, just to give it a little bit of color separation, to stop the colors from blending as much as they may if I didn't do this. All right, didn't get much of that color, so I'm gonna end up adding a little more after I let it go. Man, look at that though. That's beautiful, sir. Yeah, I haven't done an open cup in quite a while, so doing this one, it just feels good to kind of get back to it. So in the comments below, should I leave negative space or not? Because most of my paintings typically don't have any negative space in them. And I just don't know. It's something I don't typically do, but I feel like the negative space can look good as long as what's around the outside edge looks, decent. And right now what I'm seeing around the outside edge is just this milky white. You can tell there are colors under it, but we don't really know what those colors are. But yeah, I mean, it's doing its thing for sure. And that's a pretty little cell right there. Let's see what we can coax out of this thing. We should get a little bit more cell action now that these paints have been churning through each other a little bit. Colors have been kind of mixing. I typically notice that I get more cells as I progress with the open cups. And maybe that's another reason that I kind of prefer to not leave negative space, because then the outside areas that don't have as much going on can continue to do what they're gonna do, and I can kind of get it off the canvas. But some cells are starting to crop up around this outside edge too, which is pretty intriguing. So we started with the hot colors. So I kind of want to end in the middle with a little bit of the cooler colors. I think that would be a good balance there. So we just did the deep red. We need to do the yellow. And these layers are getting progressively smaller, as you can notice. The more we get closer to what's going to be in the middle, I like to make the layers thinner and thinner. That way, when I do my swipe, the cell structure can really kind of pop. And there's not just this giant blob of one color in the center. But yeah, these cells are doing some wicked stuff right now. See, just a tiny bit of white. Go back to this turquoise over here. I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. It's looking pretty wicked, especially in that area right there. Look at that thing. That was a bigger area of white than I wanted. And then a little bit of this really super light blue, because I do think that that is going to be the last one. Because if I want to maintain any real negative space, I can't keep putting layer after layer. All right, let's put a little bit of white around the edges here. Now I get to think about this for a moment. If I put white around the edges, none of this will roll under. So I'm gonna have that milky kind of, and against solid white, that's gonna be really stark. So I might not do that at all. Do my little swipey do, and I might actually spin it just a little to try to get those colors to roll under, and then add the white. I do not like that milky. Now see how all that milkiness is kind of gone now? Now I can apply the white. Now the only downside to what I just did is I did just allow silicone to contact the canvas. I'm sure that some silicone got on, because it would have been impossible to avoid that. Because there was silicone on the surface, and when I allowed it to roll under, I let the silicone contact the canvas. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. The only thing that'll make it a negative thing is if it rejects the paint. And if it rejects the paint, then I'm gonna have to go through and do like some little magic whirly-gig stuff with brushes, or potentially try to pour over it. So I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. Adding that white is letting these colors kind of push out onto their own. So if I want to maintain negative space in all four corners, I can. And now I'm going to apply the last little bit of heat before the spin to kind of tie up this center section, because there's no cells in there at all right now. I want to make the cells before I spin. That way they have a chance to grow and kind of expand, if that makes sense. Some of you ask me if I use a heat gun or a torch and which one I prefer, and it all kind of depends, actually. If I'm doing work like this where I want to have more control over what's going on, I'll use the heat gun. But if control's not a thing and I need to make the cells form quickly, then I will typically use the torch. Torch is also really good at popping air bubbles. The heat gun's not as effective at that. So if you have a lot of air bubbles in your paint and you want to try to avoid it, you can mix your paints a couple hours in advance. That way the bubbles can rise, and then you just take your cup of paint and you tap it on a hard surface and it'll pop the bubbles on the surface. But this is what we're working with, and I am loving it. I'm loving how the silicone is spreading out into that white, creating like this cool lacing effect on the outside. So we're gonna do some really light spins, see if we can maintain quite a lot of that, because I really do like that. it may go off a little bit, and that's all right. I think I actually love that as it is. Only thing I'm not crazy about is this milky white portion that still hasn't completely flowed off. So I may risk just another light spin to try to get rid of that part. And right now I'm watching it, and it's slowly flowing towards the outside edge. We got rid of most of it, and with that I'm happy, because I love how it's like little blowouts coming out towards the outside edge there. And one last time. Now, this, since you've thinned the layers out by spinning it, there's a potential you could even get more cells if you heat it up a second time after you've stretched it. So typically after I stretch it, I always try to run over it one last time. That's how I'm getting these little cells within cells, making different sections kind of open up, expose that glorious color palette that's underneath. Now, one thing I might want to try is, I really like the wisps, right? In that corner, I don't see any of those, so I might blow a little bit, try to get some in there. I'm trying to figure out how I could blow it without getting my big old fat head in the way. All right, let's see. All right. I mean, we got the effect. Yeah, actually. All right. So not as much negative space as I was thinking I would have, which is okay. I love it. The colors just, they're beautiful. I love these colors together. So I'm gonna bring you guys down. We're gonna check this thing out, but it's glorious. So that was the section that we blew out. And if you look at all these wicked, cool cells, really delicate lacing on the outside. The way these colors play together is amazing. I really love these colors together. So now at this point, I just gotta scrape the edges to stop the colors from flowing over the edge, and then it'll dry.
If you want to watch another video just like this, click the screen right now and I'll see you there.